Hi.
Hi, Cindy.
How are you?
Good. Yourself?
Good. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
Um, Sorry, just want to save it. Hi. Yes. Um, are you you're from New York, right? You saw?
Yeah. Yes, I.
Okay. And you
Yeah, I live in the White Plains area,
White
so
Plains.
not in the city, but just outside of it. But yeah,
Okay. Yeah. So, have you been in remote position
I
before?
have. Yeah, I've been in a remote position pretty much ever since the pandemic.
Okay.
I've
Yeah.
obviously gone into offices and traveled, periodically for my current job, but it is a fully remote position
Yeah.
with periodic travel into certain
Yeah. This
offices.
we don't have an office, so we're fully remote. So I don't know if that's your current. And how do you
Yeah, no,
feel about
it is.
that?
Yeah, what it is. It's more of like when I say periodic, I mean like sometimes we have management off-site meetings. So for
Mm-hmm.
3 days, I'm somewhere. Periodically, we'll do an industrious or rework. Bring the team together. That's a
Okay.
day, a quarter, right? So it's fully remote. Let's put it that way. Just
Good. Okay.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So we just implemented NetSuite. We are live. I don't know if Joanna. You probably talked to Joanna already.
yeah.
January 1. We're like mid and it's not fully done. Like we still like want to build reports and see what NetSuite can do for us.
Yep.
Did you have any experience or are you open for that? What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've worked with NetSuite
Okay.
quite a bit. About 6.5 years. I worked with it at Teachers Pay Teachers.
Okay.
I haven't worked with it in the last 2 years, but I still am very familiar with what to do there, building reports,
Mm-hmm.
um, building out a Dunning platform, things like that. So, um, I'm very familiar with the system and look forward to learning more.
Mm-hmm.
As every industry is always going to be different
Yeah,
and needs are going to be different as well
for
too.
sure.
So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because
Absolutely.
I use NetSuite in my previous job. It's different as of now. Like the uploads, it's different. So it's like, have you used the uploads and entries like that? Sometimes it doesn't
Yeah,
work, sometimes it works, and it's just feels good when it's done with that big entry.
yeah,
So we're
yeah.
like,
I think it only could do 5,000 line items at a time, depending on what you're uploading.
yeah, it depends,
Um,
yeah. And you
yeah.
got to make
So
sure it's right in a certain way,
yeah,
value numbers, the same
yeah.
columns.
Same
Yeah, yeah,
columns. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Um,
Upload is a good feature,
oh yeah, for
and
sure.
I like the manual uploads. So, like, payroll entries or banking transactions, that's good to be uploaded.
Yeah.
But when you're dealing with high amounts of transactions,
Mm-hmm.
um, and you're above that 5,000 threshold, then I think the goal is to automate more so
Right.
than to upload.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
get
yeah.
it. You might do that for a little while, but the long term vision should be more of like, hey, how can we connect these two systems so we don't have to do an upload?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it can be a little tricky,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah, for sure.
if
Yeah,
you know,
the biggest entry would be probably like payroll, Amex, because we have a lot of Amex entries. I don't know if you dealt with Amex people. So our employees, we have like 30 Amex cards out there. So
yeah,
I basically do like the each expense I have to code it and I
sure,
shared it with people to make sure like that's a right or is it personal? Is it right coding to make sure like no the card is not they used it instead of somebody else. So that's what's been happening. I do all the journal entries for the salaries. Um, what else I do? Sales tax. I saw like you had experience with
yeah,
sales tax, correct?
yeah. Sales
Um,
tax, yeah, softwares mostly.
Software.
Um,
Okay.
so the softwares will essentially, remit the sales tax on your behalf,
Okay.
and they calculate it for you. So it's a it operates well with NetSuite, and basically what it does is, hey, this invoice got is created. They're in a place where we have Nexus. It pings that to Avalara and says, hey,
Mm-hmm.
this is where this individual is from, Nexus or not. If it's a no, no tax. If it's a yes, then boom, it shoots it back as to the appropriate
So
tax that
before you
we go.
implement it, did you already have those logins and did it manually?
No, we never did it manually.
Never. Okay.
Yeah.
So if we
So
did it manually already and we have logins for some of them, how was that? How would that work? Do you know?
say that one more time.
So like basically like I had like 15 states. I probably did half of it. We have logins already. It's already there. I'm sure there's a way like we had
When
to
you
feed
when you
into this
when you say logins, do you mean like state logins
state logins.
for?
Yeah. I
Yeah,
do it
state
manually.
logins.
Yeah, which takes a long time. I feel like we may be implementing new software for that. We'll see. Obviously, it's not a decision now, but like maybe in long term.
Yeah,
How what is the cost like for that? Like, did you make that
sure.
decision to implement that, or like was it no? Oh,
It was a company wide decision, but I
okay.
definitely was in favor of it because,
Yeah.
as you are probably well aware, doing it manually, there's risk of error, there's risk
Penalty.
of yeah, a bunch of things, right?
Yeah.
And then also there's just an efficiency standpoint too,
Yeah.
right? You're doing all these things that a system can do, and how do we just make them more efficient and better to utilize your time.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm all for systems to do anything that uh, really is automated, or can be automated. And
Okay.
that's another thing too. Like, are we sure we're charging the right tax rate
Mm-hmm.
as well
Mm-hmm.
too? I think that's the biggest thing. Is like, hey, um, each one of these zip codes can have multiple rates associated
Mm-hmm.
with it, right? Based off of locality
Mm-hmm.
and city sales tax and whatever it might be. Um, we want to make sure that that's accurate, and we feel very comfortable with that accuracy,
How
and that's
long?
what
How long did it take to implement? Like, are you guys completed
um,
or?
yeah, no, that had been completed. It takes like it depends on how quickly you're willing and able to get it going.
Okay.
So
Is there a
for
check and
us,
balance like you guys do for that, or you just?
yeah, no, there are some controls that you
Mm-hmm.
should put in place.
Okay.
So there are certain aspects around, like, hey, do we collect the cash? Um, you know, is these amounts tying out to actually what we build? Is there anything additional? Are we ensuring that the states that we have nexus in are the only ones where we're collecting tax? Because that can be a problem sometimes too if you don't put in the right information and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So there are a number of different controls. But what's nice is
Mm-hmm.
the system takes over a lot of those controls for you, to where the amount of controls you need to perform is limited, and it's more. I would say probably more value added, right? Where it's more around ensuring you know proper payment, reconciliation with the accruals, things like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, got it. Um,
And what you do with those state logins is you put it onto Avalara's site,
yeah, that's what I was
and they'll
thinking.
and they will remit it on your behalf.
Yeah.
So basically, like, there's like an account code, or it's like a state ID, basically state
Mm-hmm.
sales tax ID.
Mm-hmm.
You throw that into SureTax or Avalara. Avalara being probably the best one, but you throw that there, and then that's all they need in order to remit on your behalf.
Mm-hmm. Do you know what's the cost on that?
The cost can range. It really just depends. For us at Kayak, excuse me, at Teachers Pay Teachers, I want to say it was somewhere in the ballpark of, I think over the course of the year, it was like somewhere between 25 and 50 grand.
Okay.
But we were sending sales tax to many different pretty much every single state
Mm-hmm.
that charged sales tax. We were sending it there. There was also a GST component and
Mm-hmm.
a HST component, so Canada, that harmonized Canadian tax, I think it's called.
Okay.
Uh, and also in Australia as well too. So there is for us it was, and it was a significant amount of transactions as well too. So that cost could be lower for
Mm-hmm.
us. It
Mm-hmm.
really depends, but
Mm-hmm.
regardless, I think that is a cost worth spending, um, mostly to alleviate your time, and
Yeah,
also just ensure we have just a better process in place and something that can
definitely.
scale with us as well too,
Yeah.
right? All we need is a few of these states to start saying, "Hey, SaaS is now taxable," and boom, we got a bigger nexus. And then as we continue to increase our customer base, this is something that's just going to take more and more and more of your time. So we got to think long term, really.
Long term, yeah,
Um,
for sure. Yeah.
anyway,
It,
does that answer your question?
yeah, yeah. Is there any questions that you have in mind for me?
Yeah, sure. So I know you've been here. I was talking to Joanna a little over 2 years,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you really specialize in on the month end close
Mm-hmm.
and sales tax, and I could see that's
And I
one of the
did the
bigger
analytics piece too, which is like,
analytic.
yeah, so like I would do the budgeting. Obviously, like David's gonna transition probably somewhere from somebody else. I don't know. I did like a lot of analysis work to see like each person, the sales reps, like if it's profitable, are we hitting our goals, like stuff like that. And I have done it and I enjoyed that. But now it's mostly like the close and we're implementing NetSuite. It's just a lot of work recently, so
Sure.
it's like, and obviously
Yeah.
sales tax is not my one of my not favorites.
Yeah.
But it
Well,
needs to
let's
get
get that.
done.
Yeah, let's
Um,
get that.
so
Uh,
yep,
let's get that. Let's get that changed.
yeah.
Let's get that updated for sure. So, what I would say is, well, what the question I was going to ask of
Mm-hmm.
you was, is your background more in the finance side of things, or is it in the accounting side of things? And where do you really want to go? Is my question.
Mm-hmm.
Where
I'm
do you
actually
see
kind of both. I started with both kind of because it's like it mixes somehow. Like, oh, you actually get the real data from the close and you use that to do analysis work. So like that's what my like background is kind of like. So like for now, like obviously it's just the close, like, okay, how to use this real data, like how does it help the business. So I kind of like, I mean, if I just do analysis, I don't know like where these real numbers are coming from, like HGLs, um where do they come from, like until I do the real data work, like Amex, all these expenses, it doesn't make sense to go in that GL. So it there's a way like it connects. So that, I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, no, it does. It seems
Yeah,
like you got a mix of experience within finance and accounting.
right.
What did you major in? Was it accounting?
Accounting. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Perfect. So
You too, right? You went to
yeah, Hardwick,
your
small liberal arts college. Yeah.
yeah,
Canada.
yeah, PWC.
PW.
I actually got accepted there, but I had to move, so I got accepted in
Oh,
Stanford. I don't know if you know Stanford,
oh yeah,
Connecticut.
yeah. I was actually based out of the Stanford office.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. I got hired then, but like at the time I was engaged and kind of, and my cousin went there. He loved it. So, um
Yeah,
it's a beautiful, Stanford's a beautiful place, so I wish, I don't know. We'll see.
it is. Where do you live now?
I live Maryland, close to DC.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
I've been in Connecticut all my life. Born and raised there, and my university was there. I went to Sacred Heart. I don't know if you know,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
in
Yeah.
Fairfield. Yeah. So yeah, and then I moved out here, and COVID hit. So um, everything just changed. It's just remote.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Flipped on his head there.
Yeah.
As far as what you're looking for this role, or the
Mm-hmm.
controller, um, what is it that you are looking for from this role?
Oh, I'm looking for maybe like some support. Obviously, I have the same goal for to help this business. And I don't know if you know much about the business. It's a new startup started from Bob, who's the founder in 2016, and kind of like we're so fast growing and so unique in 2019. We're like
Mhm.
mid. We're not like a startup now. We're like mid there. Now we have over like 150 employees. So it's just we're growing fast. And I'm just looking for support to help the business have the same, vision. Like how can we help like to the next level using NetSuite as a tool that we can use. Like I we transfer from QuickBooks. So right now we're not utilizing what it can do.
Yep.
I know like from maybe I'm still doing a lot of like manual stuff. Like maybe I haven't figured it out. I'm learning like, oh, there's uploads we can do like on these bills, and I know Joanna's probably like entering one by one. Why don't we just do a bunch of like there's a way, and we are still in like mid phase. So
Yep.
yeah, I just hope like a new person can take that on and help us reach to that whatever we need. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it makes complete sense.
Yeah.
I think that only makes sense
And
from
obviously like maybe our
accounting.
close can be faster. I know you did say like you close it used to be 30 days and 10 days. That was like us when I came in. They closed in 30 days. Now we like actually went less than 2 weeks. So,
Yep.
same change from there. It's just like
Look,
stuff like that,
and,
and then
and
maybe
listen,
like new
yeah,
reportings that we can build, because I used to do build reports manually because we use QuickBooks, like budget versus
yep.
actual. I had to manually enter it one by one, and I just uploaded a budget on NetSuite, so it's like we can download by departments now. Like that's awesome. Like I didn't have to do that manual, so it saves me so much time. So I just hope like new maybe you or controller whoever David picks has a same, you know moving up forward and keep us going. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me just that's I love that answer,
Yeah.
first of all. That's really what I like to do. And I think you can see that in my resume. I like building. All right. So the way I think about it is, I don't know, this vision really can change. But for the accounting department, I like to, I want to build a best in class accounting process, which utilizes and brings in people and systems so that we can be more efficient and effective at what we do.
Mm-hmm.
And what that means is, all right, the top level is let's build a best in class process. Now, what does that mean? That means how do we bring in systems? How do we bring in people that are going to allow us to scale with growth? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
you see a number of things where we're talking about sales tax, where it's like, hey, if growth starts to happen more and more, this is going to be a bigger and bigger issue. So the way I look at things is like, hey, what happens if we 4x, 10x, 20x, 50x?
Mm-hmm.
Do we have the systems in place that allow us to, you know, basically absorb that growth,
Mm-hmm.
but also at the same time doesn't cause us a whole bunch of anxiety and
Yeah.
cause a number of issues. So these systems that are out there help us do that, and I got
Mm-hmm.
a lot of experience with that,
Okay.
especially with reporting as well too in NetSuite. I've built reports, I've built searches,
Are
I've
you
built.
more hands on, or are you just gonna, or are
No,
you?
no, no. I'm not. I'm not just going to sit here and watch you guys do everything. I am a very hands-on
Okay.
controller. I like getting into the details.
Okay.
I also do understand too that at a certain point we are going to have to be uh, compliant in a number of ways. So
Mm-hmm.
in the beginning, I'm going to be very much hands-on,
Yeah.
and then
So
I'm
you
going
can
to
see the
also,
details. You can understand
yeah,
like
what the
why is this?
problem is,
Yeah.
bottlenecks are, all of that.
yeah,
And
how unique we are. Like, obviously,
absolutely,
you have done gaps, so like, obviously, we will love your, ev- expertise and opinions on like, is this the right way to do it? We have cost of goods sold. Like, I hope you,
yep,
understand like why we put that on cost of goods sold. So we have like three departments
yep.
there. Do you think credit card fees should be cost of goods sold?
Yeah. Um,
Really?
so
I
I
mean,
do. Yeah,
I heard from two managers, two of my bosses. One says no, one says yes. So I just want to,
yeah. I'd say
because every company has credit card fees, not just software companies. So, from my opinion, and obviously my boss right now, like saying it should not, but obviously
yep,
Davis says so. And you came from like the big four, so you see
yep.
probably seen it more. Like, is it really cost of goods sold? Like every, not even these companies like they have also credit card fees. Why is it not under cost of goods sold? Because it's not helping the product. So maybe you have a different opinion because you've seen it. Um,
Well, the way I see COGS is anything that is necessary for you in order to run your business.
mm-hmm,
Um, so you can make a pretty good argument, Cindy, that it's like, hey, these are just bank charges. It's SG&A, and we don't necessarily need to
would you
to
say it like
create
okay,
or
because other sales company does it? Would we should do the same? Are you that type? Like, would you say that?
listen. Yeah, no, I would say I'm one that is very open to because COGS is really up to an interpretation in a lot of ways, right?
Right, right.
It can go very deep. You could say like, okay, anything that touches revenue, that's COGS, right? And that could be a lot,
Yeah.
right? And say, hey, to the very basic minimum, like anything that just keeps the lights on, which is minimal, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
server costs and maybe a couple of other things. Anything that keeps the lights on,
Mm-hmm.
that's what we consider COGS. So it's up to interpretation.
Tradition, yeah,
I,
yeah, for sure. And it really
what I would
depends on the like what you choose, and it's obviously different percentage from what you use as a credit card fees. Like, okay,
yeah.
QuickBooks might be higher than our actual company, so it's just, I guess, yeah. Um,
Well, the way I see it, Cindy, is the reason why I incorporated as COGS is because if we didn't have that function or that functionality, we wouldn't
mm-hmm,
have been able to collect cash,
mm-hmm,
which then means you actually have a potential revenue risk, right? Like if you can't collect the cash, then it inevitably says like, oh
mm-hmm.
well, you don't actually have revenue. Um, that's why I've put it there, and I've seen a number of other clients that I've been a part of, or companies I've been a part of that puts it in COGS.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I've also been part of companies where it doesn't put it into COGS. So
Mm-hmm.
let's talk about it. And I'm happy to
Mm-hmm.
either way to me.
That's
It,
interesting. I'm open to hear your thoughts because like you, yeah, I guess that makes sense. But also like for anywhere like you have to have the product. Like not all. I don't know. Yeah, that maybe yeah. It really depends how you.
listen, I think what you're saying it makes sense too because
Yeah.
you'll get like bank charges, right? You won't
Right.
put them, you know.
We don't put that's under admin. Like that should be
Right,
admin
that's under
expense.
admin, right? So like it's
Yeah.
like, well, why don't we put it this, same place?
Same
The
place.
thing is it's like, oh, because it's directly correlated to revenue. And the
Mm-hmm.
reason why you collected that cash, which gives you the ultimate proof that it's revenue,
Mm-hmm.
came from those credit cards, and there was a fee associated with it, that usually does get tagged as COGS.
Mm-hmm.
But again, like, listen, if it's especially if it's not a lot of money,
Right.
which I can't see it being a ton here.
So
Um,
I see you
I'm open
did
to
ARR before revenue.
mhm. Yeah.
How deep like did you go into details? Like do you do the waterfall? Do you do the deferred revenue? Have you done
Yeah,
it?
yeah. So I think there's a big difference between gap revenue
Mm-hmm.
and also what we consider ARR and all of that, because you know from a revenue standpoint, we don't recognize the revenue until the service has been performed, right? So what we recognize as revenue is going to be much different than what we show as ARR,
Mm-hmm.
because revenue is, you'll recognize, especially if it's a year contract, you collected the money up front, you'll recognize that revenue over a year. ARR says, hey, as soon as the contract was initiated, that is now my ARR number, and that's the annual recurring revenue I expect to have on a go forward basis. So I like to look at those systems, those two reports separately, but ensuring that the data between those two systems are between those two reports are accurate.
Right.
So hey, we have 10 customers here, 10 customers here.
Right.
They're at a total of hundred thousand
So we
dollars.
use Salesforce. I don't know. Have you
Yeah,
used Salesforce? So like it's not fully implemented into NetSuite. Obviously, the numbers of Salesforce is going to be different from our financial numbers, and we used to build it manually to make it agree that time, snippet of that time. So like I guess like we were thinking like have implement Salesforce numbers into NetSuite so it like syncs. I don't know if that makes sense. I don't know.
yep,
I'm just thinking that way, and I know like
yeah. You want to integrate Salesforce
somehow.
with
So
NetSuite.
yeah, obviously they're building. A lot of people are building reports from Salesforce. Obviously the number's going to be off because it's not actual. Does that make sense? So
Well, I guess my question for you
it's
is,
like projected numbers of deals are there. Um,
oh, so if they're looking at things that are projected deals, then
mm-hmm.
yeah, that's going to be off, right? Because it's
Off.
not a closed deal
Right,
yet.
right, right.
So, and that, because that's like pipe revenue and pipeline generation, and that's useful for sure, but none of that stuff's going to come over into into NetSuite. It's just going to be closed deals that we know we're going to recognize revenue. Any type of churn, anything like that in the month, we need to ensure that's correct and coming in. Um, but I really want. I talked to Joanne a lot about this. I really want to ensure that the systems, those two systems are linked.
Linked. You want
Because
that to happen, or you?
yes, I do, because
Currently, it's not. That's why I'm just mentioning it.
yeah,
And if you're
yeah,
open to help us with that,
yeah,
um,
absolutely, sure, 100%, um, absolutely, especially in the beginning, right? Because I'll be gearing up, and that's something I can just kind of handle right off the bat while things start coming onto my plate. So, um, absolutely, I think
mm-hmm.
that's important. Um, and really just even if it's project managing it, right? Because a lot of times connecting Salesforce with NetSuite, these are two older systems or started,
Yeah.
long time ago. So the APIs and the webhooks and whatnot that connect each other, they it could be difficult, right? So
Mm-hmm.
connecting the two is key in order to reduce the amount of, hey, we got to upload customer data again, we got to upload invoices again, we got to do all of this stuff that takes a long time. Why don't it just sync automatically in real time? We know what it is. Hey, if we change this customer to closed, then all of a sudden we can, that syncs into NetSuite. We can run reports out of NetSuite saying, hey, let's look at all of our closed customers and
Right.
compare that to the prior week. What's dropped off? What's come on?
Mm-hmm.
And that can really derive your ARR report, and
Mm-hmm.
really just you can build an ARR report there. So I think there's a lot of things that, when you connect those two systems, not only help us from an accounting standpoint, but also from just an overall operational finance standpoint as well.
I see. I see you implemented NetSuite twice. Is that correct?
No, I only implemented it once.
Once. Oh, okay.
Does it say I implemented it somewhere else? I
I
don't think it
think
does.
teachers pays teachers. It says you
Yes,
assist
implemented
is
it there. Yeah,
okay. Hmm.
implemented it there. When I say assist, it was me and the controller. We were both doing it.
Right, right, right. So you've seen it happen
Right.
twice, like.
We've seen
Mhm.
right. We've seen it happen, but the thing is at Nets, excuse me, at Teachers Pay Teachers, it wasn't a hard integration.
Mhm.
Um, you could do that very easily.
Mhm.
And I would say that overall, we could actually do that implementation. Here, we might need to get a consultant involved, just because of webhooks, and you're actually talking about someone who's got an engineering background and
Right,
who
right,
can
right,
actually
right.
build
Yep,
this
it's
for
already built for us. It's just like additional
turn it
things
into.
just in case we need like certain things. We
Yep.
are in live in January, so it's there. So how long have you? So your current job, it's you guys are in NetSuite right now. How long have you
No,
guys used it? No, not yet.
no, not yet. So we're looking into NetSuite now. So doing kind of the preliminary stuff I did at NetSuite, but at when I was at Teachers Pay Teachers, I used it for 6.5 years. So
Oh,
I'm
okay.
familiar with the system.
So what system are you currently now?
Xero,
Zero. Oh, okay.
yeah, Xero. It's a
So
small system, it's kind of like QuickBooks,
so you
but yeah.
almost been your current job 2 years. Why are you leaving?
Um, I'm looking to leave because of the industry itself, and I'm sorry, Cindy. This was only scheduled for 30
Schedule. Yeah,
minutes.
yeah, yeah. I know. If you
Um,
need to go,
so
it's okay.
no, I'll answer the question, but then after that, I do have to
Yeah, yeah,
jump.
yeah.
I apologize, but um, the reason why I'm looking is because I'm in an industry right now. I'm in the ticketing industry, and I don't
Hmm.
know if you know too much about the ticketing industry,
Are
but
you
there's really
interested in our industry? Like, what's
yes, I
software?
am.
Okay.
What I'm looking for is a good product that wants to be bought by buyers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you think
Oh,
that's
that's
pretty
good.
easy?
Okay, that's all I want to know. So,
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Whereas right now we have a product, it's good, right?
yep.
It's generating revenue, but our buyers, if they had a choice, wouldn't want to buy it because you got two directions when you want to buy a ticket. You either go to the primary market, which is Ticketmaster, which is like a monopoly, and
Yeah.
they got there, or you go to the secondary market where it's usually marked up and you got to pay all these fees and it's just a mess.
Yep.
And nobody wants to do that. I mean, nobody ever thought you'd have to pay $5,000-6,000 to go see a Taylor Swift concert,
Right,
right?
right. I mean, I just want to make
It's
sure you're excited what we do. And
yeah,
are you a
absolutely.
big sport fan?
I do enjoy football. I do
Football,
enjoy
okay. Cause
the
like we use Slack, so like there's always talking about sports. So that's
okay,
our
yeah,
kind
sure.
of industry. So I just want to make sure like is that you're excited about like cause you'll hear it every day on Slack. So
Yeah, no,
yeah,
absolutely. I do.
yeah.
I really enjoy.
Cause
I
I know
really
the
enjoy.
guys always say like they always talk about sports, and I'm like here. Obviously, I'm not a, I'm like okay sport fan, so it's like I don't know what you're
Yeah,
talking about. Okay, yeah,
yeah, yeah. No, I get
okay.
it. I get it. So, but anyway, Cindy, very nice meeting you.
Nice
I
meeting
can
you,
see
Tim.
that
Too. Pleasure.
what you're looking for is something I can provide, and
Mm-hmm.
it's something I've done at TPT, something I'm doing here now. I like to build, and I like to make things more efficient, more effective. So, the things that I've been hearing from you and Joanna are very similar,
Mm-hmm.
and I believe I can really help.
Sounds good.
And regardless, very nice meeting you, and look,
Yeah, yeah.
if I
Nice
make it to
meeting
the
you.
next steps, I look
Yeah,
forward
I hope.
to.
I think you might hear from David or someone.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank
absolutely.
you.
Cindy,
Have a nice
very
one.
nice talking to you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.